How we do this, we are the truest. Got these fangs super sharp, your shit toothless. Cold-hearted, yeah we ruthless. All the ghouls in the cut, let's get ghoulish. In the graveyard, acting foolish. Finna dance with the devil to no music. Cold-hearted, yeah we ruthless. All the ghouls in the cut, let's get ghoulish.
Hello, ghouls! My name is Max Booth, and you are listening to a new episode of the GHOULISH podcast. On today's episode, Jessica McHugh returns to talk about Evil Moms in celebration of the release of the most two recent novels, Rabbits in the Garden and Hills in the Hedgerow. Both of those are available now through Ghoulish Books. You can get them at ghoulishbooks.com. I believe we even have some signature stickers from Jessica still available. So if you buy it from ghoulishbooks.com, you will get a signed sticker as well from Jessica, along with all types of cool bookmarks and other stickers. Go buy those books. They're good books. If you like Evil Moms, you will like these books. And if you like Evil Moms, you will like this episode. I'm laughing because as soon as I said if you like Evil Moms, the phrase Evil MILF came to mind, and what a disaster of a phrase that is. My laundry machine is going off. Can you hear it? If not, I maybe sound schizophrenic. Maybe not. I don't know. Not redoing this intro. Evil Moms is the topic of the episode. I have Jessica McHugh as my guest, as my special ghoul of honor of this episode. Yeah, it's a fun episode. Check it out. Also, coming up soon is the Ghoulish Book Fest in San Antonio, mid-April, April 14th, 15th, and 16th in San Antonio. If you want to come and have fun with us, get a ticket at ghoulishbookfest.com. Lots of fun guests of honor, ghouls of honor, I should say, like V. Castro and Johnny Compton and Josh Mallerman and Trevor Henderson. It's going to be a fun, ghoulish time. Come down to San Antonio and celebrate all things spooky with a bunch of freaks like me and other folks who I won't name at the moment, but you know who you might be. I do not understand how other podcasts do comprehensible intros. I feel like a nutcase having a manic episode whenever I speak into this mic and no one else is talking to me. I'm just talking to nobody. But I'm talking to you too. And you're nobody. You're somebody, right? I was told you were somebody. And I hope I wasn't misinformed. Jessica McHugh is the guest. We're talking about Evil Moms. Have fun. Enjoy. Thank you. You have written 2 books now about maybe the most fucked up mom in any book or movie. True?
True? I hope so. I certainly hope so. I hope it's true. I'd take a big badge of honor in that.
I think so. I think to begin with, we should provide some info about these books. Rabbits in the Garden, Hills in the Hedgerow, 2 great novels out now through Ghoulish Books. But Rabbits, I mean, that's been out a while, and I almost think it came out before I even knew you. When was the publication date?
The original publication was 2011.
Wow. Yeah, then that was out before I knew you, I think.
That's pretty crazy.
Did we meet because of the original press? Is that how we met? I can't even remember.
So. Yeah, I believe so. Because I think the first time we met in person was Imaginarium, and that had to have been 2013, maybe. 2014. But yeah, I think we just got to know each other through that press that shall be not named.
Yes.
And then I did the anthology, the awesome zombie romance anthology that Dark
Oh
Moon
yes,
put out.
that was a shame the way that went, but great stories in that.
Great anthology. Still one of my favorites, one of my favorite cover artwork ever.
Oh, I love it so much. I have a copy on my shelf, and April Guadiana. I'm pretty sure I
I'm not
fucked
sure how
that
to
up.
say it.
I haven't watched a film in like a decade, but yeah, she was great. I love the back cover of the anthology, which is called Zombies Need Love Too. The back cover, I believe, is like the vehicle driving away with the Jess Millard, but those like heads being dragged.
Yeah, it's so good. If anyone
Yeah.
can find it on eBay, definitely worth searching for.
I think so. That was a fun anthology. And yeah, maybe that's how you and I feel got to know each other. And we did
Yeah.
meet at Imaginarium. I think that's the only time we've met in person.
That's true. I think that's true.
Yeah. But that's going to change this year because I know you're going to the place in Virginia, right?
Yeah, Halloween Hangover too.
That looks fun. I don't know if I could even say I'm going yet, but I am going.
I have expressed interest.
Me too.
So I really hope to go. And it's not that far away for me. So I feel like if it's less than 4 hours, I should probably hightail it on over there to, make up for the last, I don't know, 10 years of not going to anything.
Are you really that close? Wow.
I'm about 3 hours away.
I am terrible with geography. I
Yeah,
don't
no,
know.
me too.
I don't know what anything is. I'm going to Virginia as well for AuthorCon at the end of next month, and I'm driving with a friend named Lucas Mangum from Austin
Oh, yeah.
to Virginia, and I was like, well, why don't we just on the way, because we have to drive through Kentucky, do a book event at Butchell Cabin Books, and he was like, yeah, that's fine, and then I talked to Butchell Cabin. She was like, yeah, that would be awesome. And then I thought, well, let me see what type of like driving we have to do. Like, how much is this going to put us out of the way? It was 11 hours out of the way. How big is Kentucky?
I know.
So I had to tell them we're going to do that. After all. But I am always mystified by the country and how any state is laid out.
100% same. I am terrible at directions, geography, how long it takes to get to places. Yep. No, I'm terrible at it.
Speaking of geography, I will continue to confess how bad I am with knowing what places look like, because until I read these two books, I thought Martha's Vineyard was just like a field that you could go drink wine at.
Yeah, nice small little winery.
But I think it's like an island, maybe.
Yeah, it's an entire ass island. Yeah, my mom and my mom's side of the family, they all grew up there. My mom was born there. So I had the extreme privilege of being able to visit there quite often as a kid, especially during the summers, which, I mean, it is when people say it's like a rich people's destination, like they mean it, because it's just impossible to afford things there now, especially. But I mean, people live there year round, and like they're not rich or anything. They're just normal people. So I luckily had a lot of research at my fingertips, which I still am texting my mom like every day when I'm writing the third book, being like, hey, what was the name of Jaws Bridge before Jaws came out? Because Jaws was filmed on Martha's Vineyard. And there's the bridge in the movie, and everyone jumps off the bridge into like the shark was, so it's like kind of a tradition when you go to Martha's Vineyard. But I'm like, I know it wasn't called Jaws Bridge all the time. She's like, yeah, that was the big bridge. And I'm like, okay.
Do they rename it to Jaws Bridge?
I don't know if it's an official rename, but that's what everyone calls it.
I would love to see that sign. No, we're coming up on Jaws Bridge.
Yeah, there's I think it's more of just like a island thing. You got to go to Jaws Bridge.
I I ask a lot of questions in my edits for books and also on podcasts that make me sound really stupid. So this is going to be one of those. How do rabbits get on an island?
They're
Does
brought
that happen?
Yeah, they're brought there, or they're in boats and stuff like that. So, like, there are skunks on Martha's Vineyard, like you wouldn't believe. Like, you'll just be
Wow.
like strolling along the beach, and like there's just like a skunk walking by.
What the fuck is bringing skunks to an
So, I mean, a
island?
lot of it is like pest control. Pest control. Like they'll bring something to get rid of one pest, and then that thing becomes the pest. So, it's kind of an interesting thing.
I know we're talking about rabbits in these books and on this
Yeah.
podcast, but now I have lots of skunk questions.
Yeah.
What do skunks get rid of?
I'm not sure. Vermin?
Ah.
I'm not sure. Or maybe like an indigenous plant that was not going well. I would have to do more. This will be the third book, Skunks in the Garden.
What begins with an S?
Yeah.
Skunks and the scrap-yield. I don't
Yeah.
know. All my knowledge of skunks, oh, also really offensive French stereotypes. So
Yeah.
I don't think that's really
That's
gonna
all
be
pretty much all
good.
my knowledge of rabbits is Looney Tunes as well. So you're in good company.
It shows in Rabbits in the Gilded.
Yeah.
Faye paints a fake bridge titled.
Yeah, yep, exactly.
That
Yeah.
was my favorite scene. So, Rabbits in the Gilded takes place at Milton's Vineyard, for the most part, also in a madhouse and other places. Where did the inspiration for this book come from? Because I mean, you wrote it a long time ago, so I don't know how much you even remember at this point. I don't even know when you wrote it. It came out in 2011, but maybe you wrote it before then. Probably so.
So, actually, this book was a combination of a couple of like a story that I was working on in 2000. It was either 2003 or 2004. I was working on a story called The Garden, and it's a lot of it is very same to that entire scene of Avery and Faye in the garden for the first time is almost lifted completely out of that original story, except for the fact that the mother talks very different. She's more my darling dear, my sweet little one. Like she's just very like it's
That's how.
it's very bizarre. And also she doesn't have
Yeah.
a name. She's just mother.
Mhm.
And so a lot of that is straight from that story. There are a lot of differences in that Avery was an only child and her father was around, but she had never met him because he was locked in an upstairs bedroom. He was very sick.
Yeah.
And so but the not to spoil too much, but a lot of the original, like the killing of the rabbits and what goes from there with the kind of crypt in the basement, that's all from the original The Garden. And also she didn't really try to hide it from mother. Mother was aware that daughter had some differences and was going to exploit them. So a lot of it comes from that, and that was like around 2004. And the thing was, when I was writing it, it just really started to freak me out. And I was like, I'm maybe I'm not in the right headspace to be tackling this. So I kind of like set it aside. And then in like I think it was the end of 2009, my mother was in town for Christmas and she gave me this dream journal. And that night I had this dream about like a 1940s, 1950s, like unrequited love, like childhood love. And the mother was very overbearing and she like had the daughter locked up in a madhouse and married off the boy that she was in love with to her sister. And like there was all this, like there's a boats and explosions and fires and stuff, all kinds of weird stuff. So I woke up and I wrote the whole thing down. Faye was played by Angelina Jolie in this dream, by the way. I remembered that quite clearly.
Okay.
I don't know why. But yeah, so I wrote all that down and I was just kind of mulling it over and I was like, what if I added that weird garden story I wrote to this dream? And then literally I just started writing it the next day and that became Rabbits in the Garden. I think I started submitting it in 2010, and it was published in 2011.
Wow. Have you done that in the past before, like combining something you wrote way in the past and then with something else new that you had an idea, Phil? I think that might be a common thing among writers.
Yeah, I mean, never on that large scale, but certainly there are lines from, I think, this novella I wrote that never really went anywhere. It was the one that was supposed to be for the Bookish tour, and we had
yes.
anthology. It was going to be published in there. But I took stuff from that's in Train Derails in Boston. So like actual like full passages. So I mean, I've done that. I never really get rid of anything, just in case I do want to cherry pick it later. But yeah,
it's good advice to always keep everything saved somewhere just in case you might use it eventually. I think. Speaking of Train Derails, just to derail this conversation slightly, I spent the weekend selling books at an event, and this woman picked up Train Derails and she was flipping through it and she began giggling so hard. She began crying, just reading random passages.
Oh my God.
I'm pretty sure she bought it. I can't recall now, but I think she did. We sold a bunch of books this weekend, so I think she did. And it was just, and then her husband came over and he was like, "What's so funny?" And then she began showing him sections and he was cracking up. It was great.
Oh my God. I feel like if I try to do that book at a reading, I just laugh the whole time. I get so like embarrassed, and not, it's not because of the writing. I think it's a great book. It's just so gross and silly. And I have a tough time reading like any erotica in public just because I start laughing. But yeah, I have a coworker that's reading it right now. And she was like, she was sending me messages and just being like, I mean, I know we're supposed to think Rebecca Malone is a bad person, but I kind of love her and want to be just like her. And I was like, how far are you in?
Oh, no.
I think she was only into chapter 4. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah. Might want to hold off.
Don't make any judgments about anyone until you finish this book.
But I feel that she is very much like, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. So I understand wanting to embrace that.
It's been a long time since I've read this book. Is there an evil mom in Train Derails?
I mean, she is a pretty bad mom.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call her evil. She's a pretty evil person as far as like how she treats people.
Right. Like I feel like to be called an evil mom, you have to be evil to the children, right?
Yeah. I mean, she does a pretty bad thing to her daughter.
I am blanking on this, but I believe you. I apologize. It's been so long. When did it come out? 2015, 2016?
Like that. Yeah. 2016. But yeah, there's definitely like something where her daughter gets in trouble for something that Rebecca did. So
okay. Yeah.
It's not a good thing to do. So I would venture to say that she is more of a bad mom than a evil mom.
Yeah, I was Googling before we talked, like evil moms, and then I got some really fucked up lists of like true crime things. So I quickly had to type evil moms in fiction, and like one of the ones that kept popping up was Mrs. Villiers. What's her name?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know her first name.
Oh, neither do I. Now, I'm not the most familiar with that franchise.
Yeah,
but is she a bad mom?
I mean, I think she's murdering people, so that's not good. But I think
to avenge.
To avenge and prevent it from happening to another child, basically, I think is her motivation. But that's still not good.
Oh. Let me adjust my notes.
Not great.
Feeling bad.
I mean, I get it, and that's what I feel like a lot of them are like, well, I mean, I kind of get it. It was so weird because when I was looking up lists, I kept seeing things pop up where I'm like, that doesn't, like, Rosemary from Rosemary's Baby kept popping up, and I was like, that kind of wasn't her fault.
Yeah,
It's
she was.
victim blaming Rosemary now.
If anything, she's like the best mom. Like she
Yeah.
tried everything to protect the
It
kid.
was so weird. Like the mom from Hereditary came up, and I'm
I
like,
kept seeing that too.
what is happening?
Like, I think the only thing about the mom from Hereditary, every list I found said was like, well, she yelled at old son while eating dinner. It's like, really?
Yeah, well, she told her son, like, I wish I never had you or something. And it's like, you want to hear the fucked up things my dad screamed at me when he was the day his son died? Because it's in my brain forever, and you never forget that shit. That doesn't make him evil. It makes
Right.
someone going through grief and not really able to control what they're saying.
Every parent says something fucked up, but not
Yeah.
every parent like abuses little kids so much they then go to a prom and kill everybody using mind ability.
Right.
That's a different type of
Like,
thing.
yeah, there's there's some big differences between those people. Yeah.
I do think maybe was it Maggie Milgret White might be the most evil mom in Who fiction.
I would say that's probably true. I would say so. The only thing, I mean, Norma Bates is a good one, but like
Yeah.
we also never see her alive in the book or the movie, or well, I think in some of the prequels or sequels you do. But I mean, to hear Norman tell it, she was pretty awful.
Yeah, but
I mean, in the
like
book
if you
especially.
have you ever read Confederacy of Dunces?
No.
Okay. Well, that it's a book about this like grown-up incel son living with his mom, and the mom's okay, but the son's just this piece of shit. He's always talking about how bad she is. So I wonder if it's like a case of point of view, right? Like maybe the
Could be.
mom was fine and he's just a piece of shit.
Could be. Could be.
I
I was watching Bates Motel before the podcast because I really love that show, and I like being able to see Norma and Norman in their relationship, and how they explored it in that show, and I feel like it was slept on a bit as a
I
series.
was gonna ask if you had seen that because I haven't. So I wondered like, is she an evil mom in the show? What's going on with that?
I mean, they unfortunately they fall on the old trope of rape a lot for Norma in her,
Oh,
her past, and the first episode she gets raped. So it's a lot. I feel like that's pretty lazy as far as making her a strong, like, protective person, because you can get there without doing that to somebody multiple times. And so there's a lot of that. There's a lot of abuse that she goes through, and you see it. So I think it's kind of the same thing where she's just trying to protect him. And she knows that he's dangerous. Like
yeah.
he has like blackouts and hurts people and stuff like that. So she knows all this. So she's trying to protect him and save him and prevent him from hurting other people. So she definitely does a lot of bad things in the show. But again, it's like, I kind of see why she was doing it.
Yeah.
She had a protective, but also kind of a Voorhees thing going on. We're just trying to stop people from getting hurt. And yeah, but yeah, they unfortunately abuse her quite a bit in the writing, which sucks
Right.
because beautifully played by Vera Farminga. I don't know how Farminga, who I love.
Yeah, is that the actor from the Conjuring movie?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Okay. She's good. I haven't. Oh, I need to check out this show. I feel like I don't know why I didn't watch it, but also I haven't seen a lot of movies from the Psycho franchise. I guess it is a
Mhm.
franchise. I've
Oh,
seen the original, and then as a teen, my friend and I would laugh quite a bit at the shot by shot black and white
oh,
remake with Vince Vaughn.
oh, I love it. I love it so much. It's so terrible.
What an insane movie!
Yeah, I saw that in the theater. It was so great. And just like, we're like, what is happening? I love that, like, when that shot of him looking through the wall,
Yes.
and then they add the FAP sound.
I love that I could mention this movie, and the only thing I remember from it is exactly what you just brought up. It doesn't leave your mind once you.
And that Vince Vaughn giggle is so great, though. But oh my God, William H. Macy as Detective Arbogast is like the most perfect casting ever, and I love it. I wish that movie was better.
Someone should do a shot-by-shot remake of the remake.
Yes. Please.
With the same cast.
Please. You can do it on TikTok. I don't even care. It doesn't need to be released. It's fine. Oh my God. Yeah, so good. I was thinking of like a really interesting evil mom, a complex one would probably be Beverly Sutphin from Serial Mom.
Yes.
She's a good one.
She's an insane. I don't know how else to describe her.
So pleasant, though. I love her. I love that movie so much. Just like the way she just killed people and then was like, huh, like just a nice smile and
yeah.
And then like wipe, a smudge off the wall or something. So great.
That's a favorite movie of mine. She's so good in that movie, and the whole cast is great. It's so hilarious. But yeah, she's pretty nuts. She's pretty evil. Maybe just crazy. I don't know. But I do love how sometimes in that movie, like she'll kill somebody if they're doing something, and you think, well, this makes sense.
Yeah,
she should kill this person. They had white shoes on.
Yeah, I mean that's unforgivable.
And was Faye, the mom from your books, was she named after anyone specific?
I don't think so. I know Norton is because I was watching Shawshank Redemption at the time, and I just needed a name.
Yeah.
Stuck. I don't think so. I think I just like the way it sounded, and I mean the fact that it sounded soft. Like a fairy, like fae, like I don't know. It sounded soft and unassuming, but also old-timey enough. Though then again, like Martha's Vineyard is such a weird like microcosm. My mom probably would have been like, Jessica, no one is named Faye on the island. Are you kidding me? There was a lot of stuff like that. She's like, that plant does not grow on the island, dummy.
Oh,
no.
Yeah, I see. She picked up the book of inaccuracies of.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely. Every time I was like in Martha's Vineyard, she's like, it's on Martha's Vineyard. You can't be in an island. You're on an island. I'm like, okay.
I've noticed people get upset about that with like Staten Island as well.
Mm-hmm. She was definitely, my mom was an early. She read that book before I submitted it. I think it was originally dedicated to the vineyarders in my family. I do wish she had she had mentioned that there really aren't that many sub basements on the island. But what are you gonna do?
I guess islands don't have basements. I guess that makes
they do. They can, but I mean, I'm not sure if there might be one that was like a little deeper crypt of some sort under. It was a very deep part of the island. It's very.
I'm always confused by what places do and what places don't have basements. Because like I grew up in Indiana, basements abound. I moved to Texas, no basements anywhere on site. And you bring up a basement and they're like, no, they don't exist. It's like, why? It has something to do with the soil being too like solid. I don't know.
Oh, because I knew about like New Orleans, you're not going to see basements. A lot. Because I remember when oh god, I forgot the name of the movie. It was a Albino Alligator. It was like it was a Kevin Spacey and like Matt Dillon movie. And I remember like reading like movie inaccuracies back in the 90s, like right when it came out. And they have a scene of them in a basement and everyone was freaking out because it's like there's no basements in New Orleans.
Albino Alligator, you said?
Yeah, I think he directed it. It was his first directing project or something. It was pretty bad.
Wow, I've never heard of that movie. Just surprising because I've seen some shitty Kevin Spacey movies, and I've seen K-Pax many times.
Oh, I love K-Pax. No, I don't like any of them. Fuck him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking about, I guess, evil moms today, not evil celebrities.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of any evil moms I had thought of. Our list kept saying like go please.
Vera from Dead Alive.
Oh yeah, the mom who's like, I don't want my son dating anyone. I'm gonna get
he's
bit
just
by
like
a monkey.
really, really mean, and then she just gets grosser and meaner as she becomes a gross monster thing. Zombie?
Yeah.
Is it a zombie? It seems more of like it gets deformed and infected. I guess that's a zombie thing.
I don't know. And anyone's a zombie.
It's a Dead Alive.
Yeah, well, she's dead, but also alive.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, if you're in New Zealand, she's brain dead.
Yeah.
That just for some reason made me think of the mom from Throw Mama from the Train.
Oh my god, yeah.
She's an evil mom.
She was evil. She was very evil.
And also shit.
In Goonies. She's
I don't think I've ever seen what she looks like as not like a really old evil lady.
Yeah.
I don't know what she looked like when she was younger at all. Now that I'm thinking of it, it's like she played in a bunch of movies in this really like the same month, and she looked identical. I don't know what her name is. I apologize if she was like the coolest woman of all time. I don't know.
That's worth a Google search to see what she looked like.
Okay,
I love that. Love doing that.
Okay, let's see. Throw Mama from the Train. I love that movie so much.
Yeah, it's so good.
I don't think a lot of people talk about that movie now, just because of carols. You know, Danny DeVito directed so many good movies.
This is the truth.
I wasn't expecting to be doing this on a podcast. Okay, Anne Ramsey is still.
Oh yeah, Anne Ramsey. I do see. I know that name because I've looked her up before. Was she like on Broadway too? Oh no, maybe not.
Maybe.
Nope, she just always looked like that.
Yep.
Oh, she's got a nice smile.
Okay, I'm going to images now. It's on the Wikipedia page. Yeah. She alive? Probably not, huh?
No.
Oh no, she's been dead a while.
Yeah.
Since 88.
Yeah. So that's maybe why she did all those movies where she looked the same. She was trying to just get everything done. It was like,
oh yeah,
let's just do as much as we can.
She passed in 88, and the Goonies came out in 85, and Throw Mama from the Train came out in 87, and then she said, "Okay, I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm gonna die now." Those who recorded last words. Okay, I'm done. I am going to die now. Oh man, I'm blanking. I just thought of another movie when we were talking about the Goonies.
There was a 90s movie I absolutely loved when I was a kid. And now this person isn't technically an evil mom, but I think she's evil because she wanted to be a mom. And that's Peyton from The Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
I don't know this movie. Tell me about it.
It's about a woman who has asthma, which is important.
Okay.
They show her all the time with the inhaler. But yeah, she's pregnant and she goes to her gynecologist, and basically we see him giving her the exam, but he takes off his glove before he does it and then just starts sexually assaulting her basically. But she like gets out of the office. She's like having an asthma attack because she's like panicking and stuff, and she ends up like going to the police. And then all these other women come forward and say that this guy has been doing it too. And so basically he's going to be arrested, but he ends up killing himself first. Meanwhile, the woman that he's married to is also pregnant. She gets this news and has like a massive panic attack and ends up losing the baby. So what happens there on is the woman has her baby and they're looking for a nanny. And of course, this woman who lost her baby blames the victim, the sexual assault victim, and kind of infiltrates the home as the new nanny. And like there's like a scene of her like breastfeeding the baby, like she keeps a breast pump to keep her milk up, and she's like basically trying to like wean the baby away from its mother and like steal it. So it's really messed up. It's you know, she like frames like the gardener to get him out of the way because he sees what she's doing, and of course it ends with like a big lady on lady battle in the house with
Hell
like
yeah,
with knives. And oh my god, Julianne Moore, like she's like the main lady's friend, and she gets sent into the greenhouse, and like it like breaks on her and crashes and kills her, set up by the evil lady Peyton. So like there's a bunch of like really good scenes and stuff. It's pretty trashy, but I loved it. When I was like 13, like 12, 13, I freaking loved this movie.
it sounds pretty fun. I'm gonna have to look
It's
this
Rebecca
up.
De Mornay is Peyton, the evil one.
Okay,
So,
I've filled the title before, but there was also a movie called it came out in the 90s as well, and Cradle to the Grave. And I always
okay.
thought it was a sequel to that movie, but now I
Yeah, that's a
realize I'm
different
really
thing.
wrong. It's because the 2 in Cradle to the Grave is the digit,
It's
so
a
it's
two,
really
yeah.
confusing.
Oh my god, I wish it was a sequel.
That kind of reminded me of this fucking insane like Lifetime made for TV movie called Invisible Child. Have you
Oh my god.
that? It's about this mom who just imagines she has 3 kids when she
Oh,
really has 2, and like they get like a nanny, and the nanny's like, well, there's only 2 kids, but the dad's like, oh, just go with it. We just go with it. She's crazy. You just have to pretend to babysit 3 kids.
oh my god, I love that.
There's also a movie called The Baby from the 70s. Do you know about that?
I don't think so.
Um, so I'm struggling to recall, but basically, the protagonist is a social worker who gets assigned to this house to check out a kid called Baby. Only it's not a kid. It's like a man in his 20s who acts like an infant, like he sleeps in a crib and he has to drink from a bottle, and the
Oh my
mom
god.
like makes it happen somehow. But then the social worker like falls in love with this baby, and
What?
it was like a fucked up scene where the man baby begins breastfeeding from the social worker. It's insane. It's great. I highly recommend it.
It does. That sounds amazing and horrifying.
I put it on once and I didn't know what it was, and it was halfway through, and then my family came home, and I was deeply embarrassed to let them see what I was watching, so I quickly turned it off.
Oh my god.
It's definitely a movie you want to watch when you know no one's gonna walk in on you.
Yeah, yeah.
But I do recall the movie I was reminded of when we were talking about the
Mhm.
Goonies, and that is Matilda. There's some evil moms
Ah,
in that.
yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, she's definitely a little more, I feel like, evil in the book, just because she's so very dismissive. I feel like I wasn't a big fan of the 90s movie at all, which is
Okay.
I feel like I'm the only person in the world who doesn't like that movie. But while I think everybody is good in it, I just
Mhm.
am not a fan of it.
So
And
I haven't read the book, so how
Mhm.
is that different from the 90s movie?
I mean, for one, I didn't like the move to America. You know, it takes place in Britain in the book, and a lot of the, you know, the language in there is different. So it just doesn't feel like that. It just doesn't feel like Matilda to me. I also feel like whatever the way they portrayed her in that movie was too like, huh, hi, I'm cute, I'm bright and happy, like, hey, what's up,
Yeah.
hey, I'm Matilda. She she doesn't really feel like that in the book. You know, I feel like the musical that just came out over Christmas did a much better job at portraying her the way she is. She almost looks like a horror movie girl. She's like, her hair's all in front of her face all the time. She's kind of like hunched over.
Did she come out of a TV at any
Yeah.
point?
Yeah, she literally looks like the lighting on her is very dark, which I was a huge fan of, because I just feel like she's, you know, in the book, she feels ignored, and but she understands that's because they're idiots. And
Yeah.
she's like, I don't, really want them to be in my business anyway, because I live in a house of morons. Yeah, I'm not sure. I just never clicked with the 90s movie. But I really liked the musical that just came out. It was definitely, I'm a big fan of that Broadway show. I haven't seen it as far as on the stage, but I listened to the soundtrack quite a bit, and it's got a lot of like good songs about, you have to be a little bit naughty and, make waves. And I love, the mother has a song called Loud, which is just like, you gotta be loud, which is fun.
I didn't know about the musical that was released. That's exciting.
It's good.
We'll check it out.
And I think in the original Broadway, they had like 3 girls playing Matilda. I don't know if that's because of child labor laws or what, like in one show. I don't know. It was really cool. But actually, the little girl from Hereditary was one of the Matildas.
Okay, yeah, I know who you mean.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask if she had a head in the musical.
Yeah.
I assume so.
She got ahead in life. Yeah.
My stupid head joke I always say that no one laughs at, but I do it all the time because I can't stop myself. If someone says like "go ahead," I'll say, "Don't call me a goat head," and then nothing happens. So we just continue on with our life. But now you know this.
I feel like that's my thing where I can't help myself. If someone like drops a plate or like a glass in a restaurant, I go, "Job opening."
They kick you out.
Yeah, I can't help it.
Any evil moms you wanted to discuss?
Well, there is, and I only saw this movie, was it last year? People Under the Stairs, but Mommy from People Under the Stairs is pretty evil.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a while, so I only like remember the fact that people handle the stills.
Yeah.
And I know like I think it's discovered because like a kid like throws a baseball through a window or something and goes in to retrieve it.
Yeah, it's something like that, where there's something going on in the neighborhood where stuff is getting sold. But I think, yeah, he goes into the house, and Mommy and Daddy have like all the people under the stairs that they're trying to make like the perfect child. Kind of like there's definitely like they were like breeding and yeah. But it was really cool. But the house was really cool, like because they went like in the walls, and there was all this like controls and stuff like that. So I avoided watching it forever because there was like a billboard in my hometown when I was a kid that they just left up for years, and it got scarier and scarier. Like it was already a scary billboard, and then it just started peeling, and like I was like, I never want to see that movie. I also heard that there was and the kid clearly told me wrong, like on the playground or whatever. He said there was someone with their mouth sewn shut, and that always scared me. But it was really someone who didn't have a tongue, and that's fine.
I love the fact that you were just talking about people under the stills of all movies like on the playground.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just doesn't seem like a movie that would come up in casual conversation with kids.
Well, the billboard.
Oh, that is good point. Good point.
Yeah, everyone saw the billboard.
I guess I just like I'm associating him with like the last house on the left. I think kids should not be talking about Wes Craven.
No, probably not. But we talked about a lot of messed up shit on the playground though.
Yeah, I mean, of course I'm saying this, but I watched Last House on the Left like as a 7-year-old child. So
oh my god,
what do I know? Nothing. Yeah. Okay, evil moms. I'm struggling to think about how much we could talk about Faye without spoiling anything. What are your thoughts on that?
So I mean, I think you get introduced to Faye in a way that is negative and very sus pretty quickly. I think, when does that garden talk happen? I think it's like second or third chapter. So I mean, you pretty quickly you're like, So I think I don't think it's spoiling it to say that Faye is something of a domineering at best, homicidal at worst, individual. I mean, she straight up like murders rabbits for having sex. So that, and then you think about whatever metaphor she's telling her poor child and how that's going to sink in. And then as you get through, kind of, you know, realizing that she's lying about certain things. Why is she lying? Why is she, it seem like she's lying? What is she trying to cover up? Obviously, we get to see some of that. So I think she's just very suspicious from the get-go, and I'm trying to not spoil stuff.
Here's how I've been pitching it at events, and after I finish telling you this, if you tell me that you want me to the bleep what I just said, I can do that.
Okay.
I now realize I may be pitching it way too strongly, but I tell people it's about a really fucked up mom who kills a lot of people and then frames the kid and sends the kid to the madhouse. Is that giving away too much?
I mean, I don't think so. I don't. And now that the second book's out and this book's been out a while, I don't think it's too bad to like, you know, she killing people. How many of those people though?
Exactly.
Did she actually kill, or, you know, what is true and false about, you know, the accusations about Avery? You know, that's kind of up for debate throughout the entire book.
Yeah. I also think just like being able to mention like the fact that there's like a madhouse, which I think is a really fun word to say, madhouse.
Yeah, madhouse, yeah.
And I think people get excited about like maybe fiction that has that setting. So I do like telling people.
Oh, sure.
Is one involved, and usually kind of telling them why, because the why I feel like isn't really the main focus of the book, although it is, but the book continues on way after the fact.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, it's the end of the book and now she's locked up. No, that happens pretty quick, I think.
Yeah, it does. It happens pretty quickly. And then it was so funny because when I was editing it this last time, I was like, damn, like I had literally, like, I'd forgotten about so much of like the journey after the asylum, and it kind of feels to me in such an interesting way. It kind of mirrors Hares in the Hedgerow, where it's like, okay, here's our island part, here's our asylum part, here's our, you know, our back to the island. So it feels like that for with Hares in the Hedgerow, where Sophie is like, here's our childhood thing, here's our flashback to craziness, and then here's our return home, kind of thing.
Yeah, the books, they feel really episodic almost, because they do have these long sections that then like almost drastically switch to something else, and it's fun to be able to travel throughout these characters' lives like how you have it.
Yeah, and I mean, when I wrote Rabbits, I really never even thought of writing a sequel at all. I liked the ambiguous ending of Rabbits, the kind of discussion you would have. But once, I mean, I just got into my head one day and I was like, but what would happen? Like, what happens to Sophie? And that question just kept like bugging at the back of my mind, you know. So once I started, I was like, oh, it's this and this and this and this, and like all this stuff started popping up. And at one point I was gonna cut all of Faye's backstory from the entire book. And then I was like, no, I just can't. Can't. And I apologize for everyone for like making it double the size of Rabbits.
No, I love the length. I mean, I am a huge fan of Hills in the Hedgerow. I love Rabbits. I'm an even bigger fan of the sequel. I'm glad you wrote it. I'm glad we ended up publishing it. I mean, I know it went through a really troubling publication history, even when we had it. But the book's all out now, and that's what matters to me,
Mm.
and I'm glad people can read it. Like I was telling you, we've been doing these events, and something that I'm discovering, which is really cool, is someone will like buy rabbits, and then like the next month when we have because we do these events at the same location, they
Yeah.
come back and go, okay, I want to read the sequel now. I've been
Wow.
dying to see you again because I want to buy the next book.
That's awesome. That makes me so happy. I'm so happy that people can read them back to back now and don't have to wait and wonder what happened. Because I feel like, yeah, I mean, I wrote Rabbits in 2015, and then I was, it was coming out, then it wasn't, then it was coming out. And it just, I felt like I was jerking people around because they're like, I want to know what happens. When is the book going to be out? And I'm like, just and so
Yeah.
I'm so jazzed that people can read it back to back, and they're just going to have to wait a little bit for the third book. But I am having a lot of fun playing around in it and writing the band's songs.
Yeah, I've seen the social media posts. They sound awesome.
Yeah.
Are you going to be recording these songs?
I'm probably not.
Okay.
They do have tunes, but I can really only play the keyboard, and these are more like they're very like punk rock sounding. So I don't think I can just be like pounding on the keyboard like an idiot. So
If any punk bands listening to this want to kind of pilton up with us with a really cool album, hit us up.
Very cool. Yeah. The Tularemia album from Natalie and the Blackouts.
What a great band name, by the way.
It came from I was editing HARES like by hand after I wrote it, and I wrote a note to myself, what about Natalie and the Blackouts? And I was asking myself a question about, if Avery is having these blackouts when she's a child, does Natalie know about them? Just as I was going through stuff, and then I just had it circled, and I was like, what a cool name for a band, Natalie and the Blackouts.
It is, yeah.
And then I was just like, you know what, that's going to be the name of my band.
Plus it ties into the blackout poetry you do, which you invented, we established in a previous
yes, of
podcast.
course. Completely invented it. Never been done before.
Exactly. Well, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, both books are available now. Anyone listening can go buy them at ghoulishbooks.com. Do you have any final thoughts you want to say about these books, about evil moms, about the mom from the Goonies?
Anne Ramsey, we miss you. I would love for you guys to read Rabbits and HARES and support Ghoulish. Everyone is putting out amazing horror these days from small presses, but I swear you guys are putting out some of the best stuff. So I feel very honored to have these books out with you, and I hope everyone enjoys them and looks forward to the third book.
Yeah. How can folks find you online?
I'm at the Jess McHugh, pretty much everywhere: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Spoutable, Hive, whatever the new thing is.
I don't even know if we're making up names at this point.
Yeah, right. And my website is McHughniverse.com. That's MCHUGHNIVERSE.com. I don't really have much right there right now except blackout poetry for sale and commissions, which you can commission me for blackout poetry of your favorite book. But I'm going to work on beefing up the site in this next year or so. Hopefully, we'll see. That's the goal.
And that was Jessica McHugh talking about evil moms. Go pick up them books, Rabbits in the Garden and Hills in the Hedgerow at ghoulishbooks.com.
Rest in peace, Max.